Good afternoon all. Today I'm going to take apart this. It's big. It's a power amplifier. Let's have a look at it. It's a Sony power amplifier. Oh, I think I'm crushing the connectors on the back. It's an AM, FM, can you see that? Receiver, STR-DB940. 7 channels of surround sound. And it weighs a ton. Let's just check it out with a couple of tweeters. That's all I've got. I've got no bass units. YouTube free, copyright free music. Now what is this? Is it Carmen? I can't remember. But anyway, there it is. Goes nice and loud. That will have distorted. Should have given a headphone warning there. Sorry about that. But yeah, I'm only using 2 of the channels. Oh, I don't know whether you can see this. There are the 7 speaker terminals. I'm only using these 2, but there are 5 more, and that's where the MP3 player is going in. Now, I just want to say that this is the very first video that I'm making in my new workshop, in my new YouTube recording studio. I'll just take these 2 screws out the back because they're the most difficult to get to. So I'm actually halfway down the garden. It's a reasonably... Why won't that come out? Probably because I'm using the wrong screwdriver bit. Yes, that's better. Using a PZ1 instead of a PZ2. Now, I mustn't lose these screws. Right, I think all the other screws are on the sides and on the top. Yes, I hope to be using this studio more and more. Sorry this is all off camera, but this is a massive thing. If I just move it to the left a bit, this will be on camera because it's very peaceful out here, and as long as it's warm enough then I can make videos. And if you want to follow the progress of said YouTube studio, because I'm building it myself out of wood, then go to the link below, Julian's Shednanigans, because it is, after all, just a shed. Now I've got to be careful not to poke my hands on any mainsy bits, because this is all lived up. Oh, that's pretty nice. Wow, this transformer is colossal. I've never seen anything like it. So yeah, a huge mains transformer made in Malaysia. Quite dusty all this. 2 massive capacitors. Let's see what they are. Well, they're Nichion. I can't see the value at the moment. Oh, they're 15,000 at 71 volts. Is that a thing? Yeah, I think it says 71 volts, which is very peculiar. More capacitors over here. Lots of, well, what looked initially like copper pipes, but they're not. I'll try and show those. Yes, all these wires back here, they're screened, well, I guess they're copper, with their twisted braids. They're screen cables. So Sony trying to be Sony and keep everything nice and audiophile. So there's a lot of screen cables back there. Now there's a board here with lots of, well, VLSI, I suppose you'd call them. Large scale, very large scale integration chips on. My guess is that they're digital to some extent, and there are a load of connectors here which I believe are the optical inputs. So an absolute mass of phonos here. Some of these are video, of course, because this is a video audio processor, but yeah, there's a bunch of optical stuff here with these little covers, these little black plastic covers, I guess, to stop dust going in. Although one of them is missing for the TV satellite. This was generously donated to me by my brother-in-law, who's into all this sort of audio gadgetry. There's a DVD LD coaxial in. No idea what that is. Oh, center subwoofer, 5.1 channel input, left on the top, right at the bottom. Antenna connectors, because there's a tuner. In fact, there are 2 tuners in here for FM and AM. Masses of socketry. So I guess this board up here is taking these optical inputs and doing digitally things with them. I think I might have to go roving camera now for a bit, because it's a lot easier to move the phone, the camera, than it is to move this amplifier. Now down on the board there are lots of really fat wires hopping from here to there and everywhere, and my guess is that those are just grounds, and they're just distributing ground with these super fat wires. One thing I wanted to know was, is this 7 completely separate power amplifiers? And my guess is that most of the power amplifier linear stuff is going to be on that main heatsink. We've got little boards on the top with a transistor, and then we've got these big transistors down the bottom. I've no idea whether this is MOSFET or bipolar. What can we see in there? I don't know what these white things are. They've got sort of legs sticking up out of the top of them, and yet they're clearly soldered to the board, so they must have legs sticking out of the bottom as well. They're a bit strange. Masses of wiring, tin cans, which I'm guessing are tuners, either for FM or AM. Let's have a closer look at the, well, let's have a look at this transformer. It's covered in dust and it's big, and the big Nichion capacitors, this is still powered up, I have to be aware, and some capacitor-y stuff down the back. It's hard to see what's underneath that because there isn't a lot of lighting in this shed yet. I will try and add some lighting. Let's look at these chips. Oh, they're all Sony chips by the look of it. I haven't got a brush with me, so I can't brush the dust off. Yeah, digital signal processing. Oh, that looks like some memory. There, is that another Sony chip? Yes, I think it does say Sony. Now I can count on this big heatsink 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these little modules which are sat a bit higher up, but not 7. Now this is a 5.1 surround sound, so I'm just wondering whether the subwoofer is being done elsewhere and is not one of those, but it does look like it has 5 discrete power amplifiers here. Well, I was fiddling around the back and I saw this, and that's an AC outlet. It is switched, but I don't know whether it's switched on or not. Now there's a switch here which is a 4 ohms or 8 ohms switch. Have a look at that from the inside, I think. Well, that switch is there, but I don't know what all these fuses are. They look like they're on the DC side, so there must be lots of low voltage. Oh, lots of diodes in there. So bridge rectifiers, smoothing capacitors aplenty. I keep feeling little buzzes actually. I don't know whether there's a bit of mains breakthrough. I mean, actually I'm standing on a plastic stool, so I should be reasonably well protected. The mains is actually coming, if we look out the window, from that power generator, so it's all running on batteries effectively. Now there are 2 single inline devices down here. I'm just wondering whether those are the other 2 power amplifiers. There's no heat sinking. I'm not sure how many watts you could generate. I mean, more than about 10 and they'd fry, wouldn't they? So maybe that's the other. Now the other thing is, when you switch this thing on and off, you hear lots of clicking. So let's switch it on, because there's a lot more clicking when you switch it on. Now I see 2 relays down there. Oh, is that on or is that off? Oh, that's on. The relays didn't click as much as they normally do. Oh, I heard a click then. Maybe it needs a long time to sort of wind down after switching off before those relays click. Are there any more relays? Can't see any. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Are those blue things at the back relays? Now here there are lots of yellow connectors, which are the composite video ins and outs, and above them you may not be able to see very well. I don't want to tip this too far. So I've just fitted this shelf. I don't know how strong it is. Okay, let me just try and tip it a bit. But you can see the S video connectors. There are ins and outs. They're all across here. Now that dates this really. There's no HDMI on here, of course. Dates this to the S video era. Oh, what would that be? Do you know, I don't even know. Early 2000s, late 90s possibly. I think almost all the electrolytics are these sort of gold coloured ones. Those are clearly Nichon, but I also think all these little ones are... Oh, my camera can't... Oh, yes, it can. So, yes, I think that says Nichon on this one, just on the left here. But they are very pretty, including these, which don't seem to have got quite as dusty, being careful not to poke my fingers on any mains. And now what are those 8-pin ICs? Are they going to be amplifiers? They don't look like they're MOSFETs because there's no common connectors. I'm used to small outline 8-pin all being MOSFETs these days, but no, I think these are probably op amps. So my main interest in this was to see how gutsy it looked, and it certainly looks pretty gutsy. Judging by this enormous transformer, I think I was told this is 110 watts per channel, and certainly we can see there are 5 discrete amplifier channels here, so I'm guessing 550 watts at least, and then there are 2 other channels somewhere if this 7-channel surround sound thing is what I think it is. Well, these 7 connector sets are front for these 4, left and right. Actually, right is that way. This is the speaker set B, speaker set A. Then you've got rear, left and right, and then center. So maybe it is only 5 channels, possibly A and B. I mean, there is an A plus B selection on the switch, but maybe it does something clever by sharing one amplifier or something when you do that. Possibly you don't get 7 actual power amplifiers. Now, is anything warm? None of the amplifiers are, so I don't think they're Class A, because Class A draws power even when there's no sound. The transformer is, yeah, that's just mildly warm. Don't think anything else is warm. Just one other thing I wanted to show you, and that's here on the main volume control. If we come around the back, there is actually a motor on there, so yes, it's a motorized volume control. My guess is that only happens when you use the remote control. So there we are, a massive Sony 5 or possibly 7-channel audio amplifier, also FM and AM, there's a fly in it, tuner, also some processing. In fact, there's a nice filter section in here. Let me just see if I can demo that. So I'm putting white noise through it, which is actually coming from the FM tuner, because there's no antenna, so on FM. Now if I go to here, we've got front treble 0 dBs, and if I raise that up, you can hear the high frequencies increase. So if I give it 10 dBs and then go to the frequency, oh, that's front mid, front treble frequency, that's 1 kilohertz, and as I turn that up, in fact, this would be better on mid, wouldn't it? So that's 1 kilohertz. Let's go to front mid 1.2. Oh, maybe these speakers can't actually hear that. Where was it? 1.2. Let's go back to treble. Plus 10 dBs, that's 1 kilohertz. And that's 10 kilohertz. It just sounds like it goes quieter to me, but that is, oh yeah, you can hear that that's doing a frequency sweep. So my guess, let's just turn it off, tuner. My guess is that there's some sort of digital filtering system in here, and it's probably these chips here, which is doing all that sort of graphic equalizer stuff. So this is going to be my power amplifier for my new recording studio, video studio, to provide sound. I'll probably do editing back in the house using my other sound system, possibly. Cheerio.